Hey everybody, this is Alex Merced from alexmercedcoder.com, and we are talking more about Express React Views and Express. And in this video, we're going to be talking about just how to handle forms. This isn't necessarily as much about Express React Views than just handling forms in general and how you can handle those forms with Express. So let's get to it. So let's go open up our Express React Views project. So let me just close out some of this other stuff. And I have that in my backend folder under Express React, project 1. Okay, so let's open up this folder in the terminal. Okay, cool. And I'm going to just kickstart that server. I actually won't do it quite yet, because what I want to do is we're actually going to change our index page to have a form. Okay, views index page. Okay, give it a second to load. Okay. So if I scroll down, here we have all this. Now I'll include some forms. And here's the thing: the way the form works is we're gonna have we have a form tag. Okay, actually, let me do this. Let me actually use Emmet to do this. So we're gonna have a form. Okay, a form tag, and then as a child of that form tag, we'll have a few input tags. This first input tag. Okay, actually, does it let me use Emmet? No, it doesn't let me use Emmet when I'm using JSX. It has to be in an HTML form. Oh well, okay. Form. Then we're gonna have a couple inputs. Input type equals text. Okay, and there's a couple form fields that you want to have in your form. So let me just clean this up a little bit. Okay, so you want type because we want to choose what kind of input it is. So we want a text input. We'll put some placeholder text. This will be for name. So placeholder equals name. And the name will equal name. Now the name property is particularly important because when we send this to our server, it's gonna need that name to know how to label that information. It's gonna put it in an object. So the data in this input box will be under a key called name. Okay, so there's our first input box. Okay, and then we just do a few more of these. Actually, just 2 more. So saves myself some time. I will use the ancient art of copying and pasting. Okay, the next 2 will be text. The last one will be submit because it's going to be our submit button. Okay, and this one will be email. And then this one will be email. And we don't really need a name for this, so we can get rid of this. But we do need a value for submit, so that way it has text on the button. So the value will be submit. So that way it says submit on the button. Save. Okay, so let me go take a look. So node, our server.js file. Give that a second to start up. Okay. That's right, I deleted the database. So Mongo's, so it's not connected to Mongo, but it's not going to matter right now. The server seems to be running. So let's go test it out. Localhost. It was 3001. And it is Taking its sweet time. Which makes me wonder if the server is actually running. Yep, no, it's working. And then here's the form. Cool. So now if I type in name, Alex Merced, email, alexmerced@alexmerced.com, and I hit submit, it does absolutely nothing. It does refresh the page though, because it thinks I submitted the page, and the form wants to do something, but it did nothing. It didn't send it anywhere, it didn't do anything, because I never told it to. Okay, so let's talk about how we would do that. Okay. So what we need to do is create another route. So let's go back to our server.js. We want to create a route for it to send it to. So we'll go back to all my routes. And I'm going to just copy this route here. And I'm going to delete all that, or I'm going to comment out all the database stuff. Okay, all this stuff we don't need now. Cool. So we're not going to store anything in the database. I just want to show you like sort of how the form data gets to the back end. And then if you want to store it in the database or do whatever with it, that's on you. Okay, so let's see here. I'm going to make another route. It doesn't really matter. Put it right here. Like I said, this one will be submit. And then name, email. Okay, so that will be that. Okay, and this is going to be a post route, because what the form does by default, it makes a post request. So it needs to be a route for a post request. So it's going to look for this post request route that matches this. And we're not going to be making anything in the database now, so let me delete that code. So in this case, what we're just going to do is we're going to do response dot, what's the word I'm looking for? Dot, I'll know when I see it. I want to forward, not forward. Request require response static for my params. Those are all variables. Write continue, writable length, network. Redirect, that's what I wanted. Response dot redirect. So we're gonna so the idea here is like, here's where you would like actually like submit it to like a database or whatever, if you wanted to. And then you would redirect them to another route with like a page. So we'll create another page. We'll just redirect them back to index. Actually, that would be the index right there. So I'll just send them back to the main page. But what I want to do is to show that we got the information. So when the form submits, it's going to submit them via the request. And it's going to be part of an object called the body. So the params in the URL are the params. So actually, I don't really need the params. There's no need to re-say that a second time. We're submitting it. Okay, so the params show up in like request.params. The queries, as you saw in the previous video, show up in request.query. But anything that's submitted via a form is going to show up in request.body. So I'm going to console log request.body so we can see that we got the information. Okay, console.log request.body. Okay, and then I'll send this back to, and we'll be able to see that console log over here. That'll be sort of the goal. Okay, it's not going to work, but you don't know why yet. So Control C. Okay, I'm going to restart the server, node server.js. And let's just hope we don't get any of that 3000. Oh, good, it's listening to 3001. Okay, and then actually the other thing I need to change over here is that now that I have a place to send it to, I have to put that in the form. And you put that in the form tag, not in the submit. So what happens is you put action, and then you put the URL you want to send it to. So I want to send it to /submit. Okay, And then these needs the equals. There we go. So essentially the way this reads is that when I submit this form, submit it to action submit, and actually I want to specify the method, which should be post. Okay, so basically make a post request to this URL with this information in the body. That's basically what that does. And you can only do get and post requests. That's the default with forms. There is a way to override that. We'll come back to that. Okay, so post request. Neat. So now let's see what happens. Okay, so if I type in some stuff, then I hit submit. Okay, again, the page is going to refresh. You can see it got redirected back to this page. So it worked. Let's see, did we get a console log here? F4.s, warning, invalid DOM property, cross origin. Did you mean cross origin? In index. Oh, I know why it's complaining. Okay, so this is just a JSX thing that everything has to be camel case when it comes to properties. So here in this case where it says cross origin, it has to be cross origin. That's a JSX thing. So here, let me hit Control C. Let me reset the server. Okay. Now let me do another form submission. So let me refresh. I hit submit. Okay, so then it did the thing. So let's take a look over here. And see, it did do the console log. So it did it. So we hit submit on the form. When we hit submit in the form, it submitted a post request to submit, which then console logged the request body, but the request body was empty. Okay, the reason being is that we submitted this body, but the server's not set up to actually take the request and parse out that body. Okay, so we need to actually go set up a body parser. Okay, now there's a way to do it built in. I think I have that over here already. There's also external libraries you can do called Body Parser that you can use. I'm pretty sure there's already a built-in way to do it. Let me just take a look at my code here. US no. That's what I'm looking for. App.get. Okie dokie. So I don't have that to refer to at the moment. So we'll just do it the old-fashioned way and Google it. Okay. There's a built-in body parser. It used to not be built in, but then they built it in. So Express Body Parser. Because what this needs to do, this needs to be in your middleware. Because what happens is that when you make a post request or any kind of request with a body, for the form body, the body parser notices it and takes that form data and then actually breaks it down into an object that you can use. Okay, so here we go. Express Body Parser middleware. Okay, so here they want us to do the install, so I'll just do that. It is built in now, but I don't have the exact line of code for that. So whatever, let's just do this. So let me shut down the server. So we need to do npm install body parser. Just make sure that I do that right. So npm install body parser. So we can install that into our project. Okay, and you can start seeing that all this stuff is starting to slowly get added to our package.json. So, oh, that's the wrong package.json. So let me close that. Here's the package.json for our project. So you can see all the stuff that we've installed so far gets added to our dependencies as we install it. And now body parser is going to be added to that in a second. So I could literally delete the node modules folder and basically reinstall that stuff. Goody, good, good. Okay. So that's installed now. So we see body parser in our dependencies. Now that that's installed, the next step, let's look at it. Then we're just going to bring in the body parser here. So I'll just literally, well, actually I won't copy that because I prefer to use const. There's no reason to use a var. That's sloppy. Const body parser. I need my camel case. Body parser equals require body dash parser is what we just installed. Okay, it's always going to be the same name as you use to do the npmi. Okay, so that body parser is now installed. Now we need to set up the middleware. Okay, I don't want to just parse JSON. I want to parse forms, bodyparser.text. Node.js body parsing middleware shape JSON. That's what I want to. Here we go. Bodyparser.url encoded. Okay. So what we want to do is go over here. URL encoded. Pretty sure I want to do like an app.use. I just want to see the example of it, but nope. They don't want to show me, so I will do it this way. Okay, so go back to my middleware, and I'm going to add that. I don't want to add it before. Actually, I want to add it at the top because I want to parse my body. I want to parse my body before anything else. So I'm going to do app.use. Then in app.use, you pass in the function you want to use. So body parser dot URL encoded. Let me just see how they spell that. Here we go, URL encoded. And then you pass in a configuration object, and we want to pass in an extended property. Okay. Extended, and then that should be, I think it's false we want right now. Okay, cool. So this only works for forms. Okay, if I wanted to do JSON going back and forth, I'd have to use the JSON body parser that you saw there on the list. So I'm not going to worry about that right now. Save. So now if I restart my server and I submit the form, and now should have a body. So let's kick off the server. Let's see here. Body parser is not defined. Oh, because I did camel case. So save. Oh, now's that other issue where we need to kill the server. Kill port 3001. Okay, now we can go back to node server.js. Okay, now it's listening. Let's go back to our page, refresh. Okay, and let's submit some text. It's going to do its thing. See, it submitted it. Now let's see if we got the console log. And there we go. And here we go. We got an object that has the body. Name, random text, email, random text. So the body parser again, and now I can do whatever I want. So within this route now, I can do whatever I want. So if I wanted to go connect to Mongoose and submit it into my Mongo database, I could do that. If I wanted to do other stuff with it, I could do that. That's how you would do it with a form in this form. Okay. If you were doing like API fetch calls and using JSON, then we would use, you know, bodyparser.json, which is up here. Okay. And then you would do that. So that's if you were building your own API. So last thing I want to show you is that what if I wanted to make something other than a post request? So let's say I want to make a put request. Through submit, we'll do the same thing, except I'm going to add the word post here so we can tell that it was put. So we can tell this is the put version of it. I can't do it because here in the form where I do the action, I cannot do anything but post and get as a method. That's just the way they designed HTML. So the way you work around that, there's another library you need to install. Okay, called method override. So I'm going to shut down the server. And I want to type in npm I method override. Pretty sure it's what it is. Okay, npm I method override. That'll install. And actually, let me remember how to set it up in the middleware. Express method override. Okay. So we installed method override. Here we go. App.use is what I'm looking for. To keep it simpler. Here we go. That's what I want to do. Method override. Okay. And you'll see why. Basically what this does. Okay. So now that that's installed, what I want to do is add that. So const method override equals require method override. So now we have that library pulled in, but I need to add it to my middleware. Okay, and then I'm gonna add that here. App.use, because it runs your middleware in order. So you always want to think about like what may happen. It's trial and error. You get used to it after a while, kind of thinking through like what order things should be in. App.use, I want to use method override. Okay, now what you're specifying in here is sort of what property to look for to override the method. So the standard is just to do method. You could put in anything, okay? But the standard is you put in underscore method. So it'll look at the form and look for a property called underscore method to see if you're trying to override the method. So now if I go back to my form, I can go over here, add a new property called underscore method that equals put. And this will override this method. Okay, it'll be like, oh, okay, this is really what you want to do. Whatever this is, we're going to replace this with this. Okay? So now when I use this, it'll treat this as a put request. And send it to the put route. Usually a put route is mainly when you want to like edit something. So if, like, in order if it like deletes, you would do this as well. If you wanted to delete something, oh, I reinstalled method override. I'll let that finish. Okay. I want to do node server.js. Oh, gotta kill that port. Now I can run the server. And it's listening. Let's go back to our thing. Hit refresh. I put in some text. I hit submit. That's submitted. Let's go back to our terminal. And there we go. We see that we got that it submitted it. Now the only thing is I don't see the word put in the output, which tells me that it still went to the post route. Okay. Method override. Let me just make sure that let's go back to the docs. Method override, app.use, method override, action source. Oh, that's right. You need to put it in the query of the URL. So that's where I went wrong. It has to be a URL query. So let me go back to index, get rid of this.